Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White. I am so glad you're with me today. And today we're going to be doing some extreme work. So if you're with us today, I want you to really get your pen and paper out because this is going to be some information that we all can use. And I'm using it and I want you all to really get involved in it. So get your pen and paper ready because we have a lot to cover. So I want you to be prepared. This is also being streamed to YouTube, so you'll be able to see it later on YouTube. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section so that you can be able to get your questions answered. So I don't want to belabor the time, but I definitely want to just bring everybody in and get started. So this is what I'm going to do. The first thing is I'm going to have to add myself to the stage. Okay. So all right. So this is what we're going to be doing right now. So we're going to be talking about breaking this cycle of generational trauma. Now, some call it curses, some call it, habits, patterns, but it's all trauma. It's a cycle. It's all things that we do, we learn, we see, we indulge in, we are part of. So we're going to learn today what it is, really, what it really is, what it really looks like in adults. And what we can do to limit those symptoms, to start to recognize those behaviors and start to remove them out of your life. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. All right, so my name is Edna White, and I am a motivational speaker and also a entrepreneurial and life purpose coach. Now, why would you listen to me? Well, if anyone knows me, and some of my followers are probably on, you know maybe because I have gone through childhood sexual trauma, and I've taken in therapy, and I've coached and counseled myself, and I did the work that I needed to do, understanding all my mistakes and all my errors and all my things that had going on, and I'm still learning how to heal. But in all of that, I've learned to thrive above and beyond what I ever would have expected. So listening to me, maybe, okay, but I can truly tell you what has worked for me. I can truly say that I want to be able to help women and children heal from this, because you can. And knowing the fact that in your own power, in your own empowerment, this is possible. Your life can change and be different. This is possible. So I'm going to get started today. And I'm also at the end of it. This is at the end. I'm going to give you what you need to do. You heard all of this information. Now, what are you going to do with it? Now what? So it's going to be exciting, and I'm ready to get started. Okay. So what are we going to learn today? What are we going to learn? We're going to, in this, I guess, masterclass or workshop, whatever you want to call it, we're going to learn how it's passed down, how to identify the signs and the symptoms of generational trauma in yourself and in your family. So why do you say in yourself and in your family? Well, in yourself, so you can have empathy for yourself, and in your family, so you can see where it comes from and have empathy and recognize it, so that you're not so quickly to be triggered, because now you understand where someone else is coming from. Not to say that it's acceptable their behavior is, but you can understand it more. How to understand the impact of generational trauma on your mental, emotional, and physical health. They all work together, ladies and gentlemen. They all work together. How to develop a healthy coping mechanism and resilience. I don't really like coping, but I would say a healing mechanism, because it's more healing because you know what it is. Coping means I put it here and I'm going to use this like a Band-Aid. We don't want to do that. We want to heal from it. We want to let the wound, open it up and heal. how to start healing your own trauma and breaking the cycle for future generations. See, this is what I've always wanted for myself, is I didn't want to carry other things or some of the stuff that I learned or I got a habit into to the next generation. I wanted them to be much more healthier. Not only that, I wanted myself to be healthy. I wanted to take control of my own life, take the bull by the horns and be in control of my own life so that I can have a happier life. Because there was times I didn't think I was going to be happy. Not at all. No way, no how that I thought I was going to be happy. So I know that it's all possible that you can have a happy life. You just have to take control of it. Yes, I did go to counseling. Yes, I did do the work. Yes, I did put a lot of things in actions. And yes, I created boundaries like crazy because I needed to see about myself. My peace and my happiness was on the line for many years. And I didn't want to go another year without having that happiness and that success that I deserved, so needed and so deserved. So how to identify the behaviors and the beliefs that you inherited from your family, understanding that and limiting, that pattern that are limiting your success, and then develop a new healthier way of thinking and behaving. So we're going to even create a plan for healing your own trauma, right? So in this workshop also is a work page that we're going to give you. We're going to share with you after we do the PowerPoint. So we're going to go through that, and really get into that. So now that I introduce you to the now that I introduced you to what we're going to be doing, now we're going to go through it. Okay. So here we go. So I did the introduction. So I wanted to break this down because a lot of times people say these words and don't know what they mean. They just repeat what they say and they don't know what it means. So curse, that means it's invoked and it's a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment or on someone or something. So when we say generational curse, that's someone wishing, supernaturally invoking something bad to happen to another person. Okay? So think about that. Someone invoking, constantly saying something or doing something to invoke harm and punishment on you. Okay? Trauma is simply that. Trauma is a response to something that's so intense and so stressful, right? That it impacts you. Like a situation I know for myself as a young child, my mom and my stepdad always screamed at each other. I hate when people scream. So I always am triggered by that because the situation that I saw or experienced caused me to be very anxious and very nervous. So as an adult, it affects me and it has long-lasting effects. So what effects it would it have? We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Just that situation. We're going to get into how it prohibits you from being happy. Seeing those situations, hearing those things, being triggered by certain things, it's going to stop you from having happiness and success. It stop you from getting to your next level in your career, doing your business the proper way, asking for help. All of those things have to do with trauma. Okay? Generational curses are unhealthy relationships and habits that are passed down into that are very negative. Okay, they're passed down. They're constantly passed down. So they are something that's unhealthy. So situation may be, a grandmother may beat their children, and it becomes like the norm. The next mom might do the same thing. The mom may do, the child of that mother will do the same thing, and so on and so on and so on. So it's an unhealthy relationship, right? Unhealthy. All right. Um, there are heredity causes, supernatural. Some people say supernatural. I'm going to say traumatic. Okay, so there are heredity things like, okay, you're brought up around women who leave their husbands, but don't really leave them. They are still married to them, and they're in one area living that way, and they're over here living that way. And you see that, so you take on that persona. Or heredity could be, here's a good one, arthritis. I've heard that so much. Oh, you have arthritis in your family. Oh, you have this in your family. Oh, you have that. Those type of things, okay? And that's also a curse. When someone says or keeps repeating things like that, you have arthritis, you have this, you can have breast cancer, you can have this. Those are what are coming out of the power of the mouth, okay? Those are what they call curses. Those are things that people speak over you. Remember that. What was curses are things that are spoken over you that mean that are bad for you, that are not healthy, they're not good. All right. Traumas are the things you see, or the responses and the intensity of the situation around you that makes you and triggers you. Okay. And you respond to. So now we're going to get to the way that we are going to, how it happens genetically. And we know how, well, I'm not going to say how, but genetically it can happen. Anxiety can be passed down because if the mother is anxious, guess what? So is the child. If the mother is an alcoholic, even if the father is an alcoholic, guess what? Chemically, it's passing it down genetically, through chemicals of the body, genetically, you can be predisposed to it. Okay. The environmental level, we just went through that, your surroundings, your environment, how your family's origin, how the things that they do around you, behaviors, the way they handle things is passed down to you because you're living in that environment. And then, of course, like I said, it's the supernatural stuff, right? It's the negative thoughts, the negative beliefs, those systems that they have in place, bad behaviors, all supernatural. Bad behavior, supernatural, like super outside natural, okay? So it takes breaking those cycles and understanding where they come from. Now that you know there's a myriad of things that are going on, right? You know that there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on now. And you can see it from your childhood. You can sit back and think, yeah, I saw that. That's why that makes me like this. At the end of this, you're going to be able to have some tools to walk away with to kind of start to disband some of those things and start realizing what you're really thinking, because some of it it's automatic and subconscious, like you don't know you're doing it. It's like me moving my hand like that, like me moving my hand, I don't realize I'm doing it, but I'm doing it, right? Same thing with habits and patterns and triggers, because that's what they are. They all are automatic. And when we get on automatic, boy, we can go, right? Automatically, we're out of there. We're gone. We're another plane somewhere. Okay. So what are the real culprits of generational habits? Where do they really derive from? And I know that we talk about, we hear it all the time. It comes from my parents and da. But here's what I learned. It comes from the emotional part of our parents, how they react to things, and how that those actions and that emotionalism connects to you. I never thought that it was all emotional. Never thought that. I was like, they're doing things on purpose. Like, I never thought that, spending money, a situation with, you know, a belief about money, my a belief around money was linked to something emotional. Never thought that. I just thought, oh, my mom loved having great, nice things, and she'd rather have nice things than have the lights on sometimes. She didn't think that far. But I didn't want, I didn't think about that. I didn't like being in the dark. And if I had money and money made me do those things, I don't want it. And I had this weird belief about money, and I couldn't touch it, and it's just all bad. I had that played a lot in my psyche. So it's called emotional parentification, right? So when parents, get this is like, it amazed me because I really didn't get it until I got it, if that makes sense. When parents rely on their children to fulfill their emotional voids, right? And their needs, it's driven by unmet emotional needs in their present lives or from their childhood. So, you know how they say some parents live through their children? And when I found that I was doing that to my own children, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm putting like a weight on them that can sink them, that can emotionally bankrupt them because they could never fill a void from years ago. Never, never. And my mom, is 80 something, and right now we have a very good relationship. We mended a lot of fences and walls and things like that. And so it was me and my other sisters, we were talking, and there was something going on, a party or something. And I was having a discussion with my mom, and I wanted her to be part of whatever was going on. And she had made some excuses, whatever. She made excuses. And I said, you wanted us to be around you and like hold you up where your mother should have been holding you up, but and loving on you. I said, but we as your children can't do that. We can't fill that emotional void because that's probably 30, 40 years of work that we have to do, and we don't even know how to do it. So when they are, even when they're doing you wrong, I even think about, my stepfather, even doing me wrong, he was asking me to fill a void that he didn't get. And even though he was broken, he was repeating something that he didn't get. And it's all emotional. So what it looks like is it's expecting your children to help soothe your pain, to regulate you, to make you feel better, to, fix those difficult, matters in your life, right? Fix that. And they can't. It's seeking constant attention. You know how, well, I know for myself, just someone always wanting the attention to be on them. They want to be the center of attention. They want to be that's an emotional need. Validation, approval. They go in the room, they take over the room and smother the room, literally. It's showing displays of affection that was never met as they were children. What it looks like, making your children the parent. That's what it looks like. Or the surrogate spouse. That's what it looks like. Making them the hero of every situation. That's what it looks like. And here's one for the books: Mommy's Little Helper. That's what it looks like. It's expecting children to save the parent from their loneliness, be there for them all the time. It's expecting the children to be responsible for taking care of them when they don't even really need care. They need to be independently on their own, right? Or being taken care of other family members when they don't need to, you know, and taking care of them even when they don't even want to be taken care of or don't even need it. That's what it looks like. But what should the practice be instead? Work on understanding and evolving yourself emotionally, fixing those voids. Have an emotionally fulfilling relationship with your spouse or your children or any other adults in your life. Have a part of one's own identity. You can, if you don't have, when you don't have your own identity, you will always morph into someone else. Always. You see somebody with a haircut you like, I want that. You see somebody with a dress you like, I want that. And you notice I said, I didn't say I like that. I want that. And you get it. Everything is a comparative. I got to get that. Got to get that. You got to have your own identity. You know, you got to make that priority in your life that you are your number one project. Who the heck am I? I did a workshop. Who am I? Who am I? We don't even know how to answer that question because we've taken on so many personas of other people. Practice self-validation. Validate yourself. Hey, simple as that. Validate. You know what you know. You know what your truth. You know what you feel. Validate that. Self-regulate. Regulate yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Regulate your behaviors. Get yourself under control. Your attitude, regulate it. And then start to understand your own emotions. With connections with your family members, with the triggers. What is it? Why am I emotionally upset? And that's what a trigger is, an emotional response to something that you're connected to. That's all it is. It's like electricity. Like you put the cord in the wall for the electric. That's the way it is. Why am I doing that? Number 2, parental projection. Parental projection. This process, right, is the part where parents work out of their fear. And I'll use me an example again. I always had a fear of something happening to my children. I'm always in anxiety, because things happen to me. So I always worried. As a child, I over worried about my children. And even as they're adults, I over worry about them. But you know what worry brings? Exactly what you don't want. So we have to get the parental projections. We end up, and it's just what the word is, project. What we worry about, it really it becomes what watch our children, it goes to them. Our insecurities goes on them. Our unresolved attachments and unlived lives, guess what? Goes on our children. Goes right there. So we're not doing them a service by doing this. We're not doing them any service whatsoever. So what does it look like? It's unconsciously using children to work out unresolved attachments. For instance, husband and wife get divorced, have been divorced for years. Husband still have an infatuation with the wife, with the ex-wife, I should say, and will not change anything. So the husband wants to get back with the ex-wife and ask the adult daughter or the adult son, hey, talk to your mom about this or that. They are really asking the child, even though they are adults, to resolve an issue that they didn't resolve. Parentally not having your mother and then making one of your children your mother. and making them responsible to take care of you, be with you all the time. Unresolved issues. Anxious, like I was just talking, focusing on what's wrong with children instead of thinking about what's right. Because we're avoiding insecurities and fears. We're unconsciously just putting that all on them. So we're always anxious and we're focusing on what's wrong instead of what's right. Living vicariously, I can't tell you how much I don't like that word. Living vicariously through your children's eyes. Making, I think me and my granddaughter were watching Dance Moms, I think it was. It's old. And I was watching it and I said, wow, these mothers have the nerve to say, yeah, I used to dance in school and I did this and I did that, but then I became a mother. So they're gonna do what I did and I'm gonna live my life through them. I couldn't believe they said it on camera. Every last one of them. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. So living vicariously through your children, even though they don't really want what you want, they're not even realizing that their children are not them. They may be a part of them, but they're not them. Protecting children from failure, rejection, disappointment, or pain, not allowing them to make decisions. I always tell my children, you have this A, and B, or red pill, blue pill, pick. And it's up to them. Then you support them in whatever pill they take. You still love them. Expecting your children to live in one shadow or becoming the same as one was. So let's say living in the shadow of maybe a brother that was there and passed away, or maybe a brother or sister that's a major accomplishment, who's a gymnast or whatever, and want the next child to live in the shadows of that and to become just like that one. Unconsciously, and this is really big, unconsciously competing with your child. Heavy. But that's it, heavy. Feeling like children owe their lives because we as parents had them owing. So they have to sacrifice their lives. That's what it looks like. And we don't even realize it looks like that because we're not looking. We're not looking. So what is the practice that we're going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to acknowledge and work through emotional attachments. We're going to process the roots of our own fears, insecurities, potentially help from a therapist. We're going to chase one's dreams. We're going to do stuff that we like to do, and we're going to keep learning. Never stop learning. And keep evolving, keep developing, every part of yourself. We're going to allow our children the space to be different, right? Take risks and learn. We're going to trust our children that they're capable to be resilient and they're capable to grow and have their own experiences. We're going to let them feel. That's the thing. We're going to let our children feel, dream, and expect, and have their own ideals. We're gonna let them do that. Yeah, I know it's tough, right? Really heavy. 3, emotional offloading. So misdirecting emotions can manifest in many forms, but the one core pattern is that the parent struggles with acknowledging, regulating, and processing difficult emotions within themselves. So difficulty, they struggle with acknowledging a situation that happened. They don't want to, they can't regulate their feelings, and they have an outburst. No, that's not right. I don't want to talk about that. And they can't regulate it, and they have difficulty. And guess what? They offload that on the children. So what does it look like? emotional dumping, acting out, just what I just displayed, blaming others or playing victim, getting emotionally reactive, dramatic. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna have a heart attack with this. You're pressuring me. You know, right? You know, you've seen it. Getting defensive and turning their back or ignoring you, whatever, um, and just showing their dissatisfaction with the whole issue, right? Because they don't want to acknowledge or express what they've done in that relationship. So it's the practice instead simple: acknowledge, regulate, process one's own emotions. Keep the focus on your personal experience during conflict. Keep the focus on not you, but the other person is talking to you, not you, the other person. Because it's not about you. When someone is expressing their emotions, it's not about you, it's about them. Understand the emotional reactiveness of the whole thing. Keep grounded. Calm yourself down when you see yourself going, I don't want to, and you calm down. You take a deep breathe in and out. Okay. Listen to your children, your spouses, your friends' feelings. Acknowledge them, their needs. Acknowledge them. You might not like it. You might have heard it 17 times, but acknowledge it. The reason why you hear it 17 times, because you really didn't acknowledge it. You brushed it off. So if you said, I heard this 17 or 20 times, 100 times before, every time we get into an argument, this comes up because you didn't acknowledge it. When someone's sharing they're being free to um, really be authentic, and they want to have a relationship, a pure relationship, they're going to share their feelings. So it's up to you. It's up to you to acknowledge that. Okay. Enmeshment. And that is just sounds just like it is. Enmeshment. It's a relationship with little to no boundaries, where people lose a sense of who they are and who the other person is. And they're not a separate person. They become enmeshed. And let me tell you, it takes years to break that enmeshment. So when you want to be able to acknowledge that enmeshment, what it looks like. It looks like drama. Pull your kids into the drama. Pull your kids into the conflict. With other adults. It looks like getting defensive, and emotionally reactive. When children are sitting right in your area and you do not enforce boundaries. It's like getting defensive or emotional or reactive when children express themselves or when another person expresses themselves. And we're not acknowledging their individuality. Well, your sister don't feel that way. Your brother don't feel that way. But it's acknowledging their beliefs, their behaviors, and the choices, that they're different from yours. It means it looks like over-functioning children and jumping in to save them when they are struggling. Sometimes you need to leave them to let them struggle so that they can be able to feel the pain and understand that there's choices that they had to make, and they made them. And yes, they have to be big enough to put their big adult or gal or guy panties on and make it happen. So what do we do instead? What do? We set boundaries, set limits, what the preferences are. We respect the boundaries, embrace and model healthy boundaries. That's important. Big one. Embrace and model healthy boundaries around anyone. Healthy. If you say that you're not going to do something, have integrity within yourself and say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And it's because of my peace. It's not because I want to be nasty to you. Encourage either your children or people around you, adults, to think. Your children are adults. Let them think. Let them think. Let them think on their own. Let them make choices. Yeah, you might not like what they're going to say or do, but then you can have empathy and understand it. But now, this is why you need to do this because of this. You know, encourage their own lives. Create their own lives, and embrace who they are individually. And when there's conflict, you don't have to express everything to everybody. One-on-one conversations with that person. It doesn't have to be told to everybody. You have to tell your children's business to everybody, because that is like the worst. Um, but talk to them first. Talk to them. Have a conversation. That's little do you know. You know, shaming your children is a generational curse. Horrible. Familial culture. Okay, so when I was really going through all of this in my mind, and writing everything down, I was going through all the traditions and the roles and the beliefs that I had, and or that I acquired from my family. I didn't have any, not much. Christmas, I mean, that's a custom, but that was not a familial culture, and I had to start to create some within my own family, but I also had to realize that my family, my children may create their own familial cultures too. So, in all of that, you have to learn to express those traditions, express them rightly. Okay? So, what does it look like? When you're emotionally distant, had a lot of that. When you have the competitive, had a lot of that. When you're dependence, had a lot of that. Low self-esteem, sociability, unempathetic all the time. Didn't want to hear lower. There's low self-esteem, then there's lower, almost depressive self-esteem. Easy to embarrass, right? Quickly to embarrass someone. Imposter syndrome, right? The, that was my culture. Like that was where it was in there. No matter what I did, no matter what, I guess Christmas or whatever, what custom that we were involved in, I was always dubbed the one that couldn't cook. So I was like, wait a minute. I always felt bad after every event. Then I'm like, wait a minute, everybody's at my house. I'm cooking. I was literally believing it. And I was cooking. And I'm like, yeah. And I had to say, well, if I can't cook, that would be a result of you because you should have showed me. But my kids are alive. They're not malnutrition. They eat well. So yeah, I may not know how to cook soul food great culturally, but guess what? I know how to cook enough because I learned as I went. So that's what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like. So what are we going to practice? We're going to culture. We're going to talk about. We're going to practice cultural reproduction. You know, existing cultural forms like values, practices. And shared understanding. Right, from generation to generation. Reproduce create something, or be part of something that can be implemented with empathy, with values, with culture, and with a great practice that everyone could feel really good about. Continuity of culture without setting limitations, and freedom to expand. So yes, I started in my house. It doesn't have to be in my house. It could be in your house now. Okay. It could be in my kid's house. Like I am so excited that I don't have to cook no more. I am ready to go. I go to everybody's house. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But embrace expanding the culture. Yeah. Let someone else be the host. Let someone else create something, like me, my granddaughter. and my grandson came over at 2 weeks ago. And so we were talking about Christmas and everything. We wanted to put the tree up, and we created a new culture. So it was October, so we decided we're going to have a Halloween tree, right? So now we have a Halloween tree, we're going to have a Thanksgiving tree, and we're going to have a Christmas tree and a New Year's tree. So a new culture, a something that all of us can do together, and really create sociability, and independence. We can create something and be emotionally connected with it. Yes, that's what we need to do, right? So that's familial culture. So practice of reflecting on these patterns is to help us, okay? So why did I go through all of that? I went through all of that for you to understand where it really comes from. And I know now you have a better, view of what it comes from, like where the very nature of it comes from. You have to develop a greater awareness, right? You're going to interrupt patterns that no longer serve your well-being. You're going to mature in ways that you will not understand. So you're going to practice the reflection of all those patterns, understanding them, knowing where they come from, know what they look like. Now, understanding, now we're going to go on to how do family patterns and habits show up. How do they show up? Now, we know the physicals is all addictions, right? All addictions. We know that. Drugs, and all of that. We know that they show up behaviorally, right? They show up behaviorally in food addictions, right? Behavior, right? So the physical addictions are alcohol, tobacco, those type of things. Alcohol, tobacco, opioids, prescription drugs, blah blah blah, all the way down. Those are the physical addictions, right? But the behavioral addictions are food. We get up and start eating food, right? We start eating some food. We start, if we get upset, we want to eat some food. All those are behavioral. The physical, and then what do we start to do, right? On the addictions, what do we start to do? Is it shopping, cutting? Sometimes it could be the behavior, what we're doing, that shows up. Now, we're going to begin to identify the generational the generational curses. What we're going to do is take excuse me, I'm messing with the patterns. So generational patterns, and we're going to use the Bible because we don't want to use people right now. And if you've been read here on earth and you've read the Bible, I'm going to take people from the Bible and kind of share with you what patterns are. So let's take David. David, of course, experienced lust. Saw a woman across the courtyard that wasn't his. Her name was Bathsheba. Because David was the general, I would say, of the almost like the army, and he took her husband, put him in the front line, and he was killed, and he married his wife. The man he killed, his wife. So Solomon, his son, had 700 wives. 700. But here's the thing. David never punished his son for raping his daughter, Tamar. Never punished him. So, generational pattern. Okay? Never punished him. Why? What do you think? Because he was still guilty about what he did to get his wife. Absalom, another son, ends up killing Amnon, who was an absent father. So You see how generational patterns can be identified in every one of us? So we could be doing something that was just totally off. And then we allow that to happen again, and then again, and then again. And it's just a bad habit. We don't identify it. We don't say anything about it. We don't speak about it. We don't set the boundary. We don't make the correction, and it continues. So that was just one example, and we're getting short on time, so I want to make this, clear because we have a few more slides to go through. So here's another one with Hannah. Okay, disciplined herself and sought the and prayed for a child. She prayed for a child, right? Her son Samuel became a great prophet of God. Now Zachariah, priest, he raised his son along with his wife Elizabeth, and they also prayed, right? They prayed even before they had a son together. John the Baptist was the voice of in the wilderness that came and told them that they were going to have a son. So you see how patterns, good patterns, sometimes happen, right? Good patterns. So this is an example of good pattern and a bad pattern, right? But it's still a pattern. It's still a pattern that doesn't necessarily is any use to you, no matter, now this generation may not do that, right? This generation, say Hannah's great, 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 great granddaughter can have children. Yeah, she prayed, but guess what she's going to do? Go to the fertility clinic. You see? That's what I'm saying. Those patterns sometimes are no good to you because it's just not commonsensical in this time. So sometimes you have to get rid of those. Like I said in the beginning, get rid of them and move towards something that can help you. So how do I change? What do I do now? What now? One is you got to become aware of your family's destructive relationship pattern. You have to literally, literally be truthful and honest with yourself and with them, and literally be truthful. Because if you don't, if I didn't, my grandchildren would suffer, my great grandchildren would suffer. You have to be truthful, okay? You have to really be aware of it, right? Purposefully observe, compare and contrast, interactions on how your family handles similar situations, and I don't like the fact to compare with the other families. I'm going to say healthy with other healthy individuals, because every family is not healthy. So literally, how does it look in general? How does that look? And educate yourself. Set healthy boundaries. You can make a change if you do those things. Set some healthy boundaries. Talk about it. Be truthful. Don't sweep it on the rug. And be purposeful about it. How do I change? Here's 5. Evaluate your present relationships. Are they real? Are they really for your good right now? What's going on with them? Are they healthy? Be patient with yourself and others. What are we doing? What are you doing that needs to be done? What is it? What do you need to do that is important right now? Practice healthy living. Practice healthy living. Eat right. Talk right. Walk right. Be right. Live. Those things. Do that. Okay? So this is how you're going to really live, and you're going to make things happen in your life, right? You're going to make things happen. So now that we went through all of that, And we talked about this for 50 minutes already. For 50 minutes. We want to get to now, what do I do? Now that I know my triggers, now that I know where it comes from, now you have to sit down and say, write down, why do I act the way I do? What upsets me when I'm triggered? And when I decided to do that, I found out, like you've seen, it's all emotional. And listen, emotions are fleeting and they can change at any moment. That's why it's called a trigger. That's why it's called a trigger. So you want to be able to know that. And I think knowing, and I no, I don't think I know, knowing where it comes from, knowing what it really is the first step of everything. All right? Everything that I have shared with you today, you should be taking steps now to weed out, because now you see the grass and it's not green in some spots, but now you have the information and say, oh, why is it brown there? Let me check it out and go through it. Look at it. Oh, I see there's some grubs down there. I see some weeds down there, and start to remove them. You have the information, right? You have the information. This part of it, I can't do for you. This part, I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you this. You have to do the work and really do it purposefully. And you have to do it. I mean, really put effort into it. Not just to do it and, oh, I can't do it anymore, but really take effort in doing this. Secondly, see a therapist. Start going to a therapist. If you need a coach, and a coach is not like a therapist, I am a coach. If you need a coach actually helps you change your mindset around things. If you're stuck in a spot and you can't seem to see it any different way, a coach can help you see it a different way and give you questions to ask yourself to move you through it. Now, I hope that you got something from today's Breaking the Cycle of Generational Trauma, how to heal the symptoms that limit you and your happiness and your success. Now, I hope that I said something that it can help you. And if you want the worksheet, the PDF, go on the bottom of this video. If you're on YouTube, ask for the PDF. I'll send it right over to you. If you have a question, and I don't see any in the private chat, which I thank you for, but if you have questions, by all means, post them on the bottom of this video. I hope that said something that can help you get better and better at what you do, because I'm here to help you. This is Edna White, and I am signing off right now. Thanks so much. Bye for now.